Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another segment of Tea Time with Fav. Now if you are new to my channel, my name is Fabrielle Brooks. I am primarily a makeup artist here in Orlando, but I do dabble in all things beauty. If you are pretty new to my Tea Time segments, they are basically just a time that I like to answer any questions that you guys have. It is the one time that my video is 100% created for you guys and specifically for what you have asked for. For today, I do have coffee instead of tea. I just have way too much to do today, honestly, and tea was not gonna cut it. The coffee that I use is from this brand called Café La Llave. It's really good and my basically entire Cuban family uses it. And then the creamer that I'm using is this one from Starbucks. It's the caramel macchiato, but I got it because it's made with almond milk and oat milk. For today's video, I did just want to go over some makeup tips that I think would help you guys out. A few days ago, I put this video on my Instagram. Alright guys, I want to know, what is the thing about makeup that you have the hardest time with? We are in quarantine. This is the perfect time to be practicing, so I want to know in this little box. I did already go ahead and answer to all the people that had replied, but I figured if these are questions that my followers have on Instagram, I'm sure that they're questions that my subscribers have here too. So I'm just going to take the ones that were the most common and just go over them with you guys. A big one was applying lashes. Now there are a few ways to actually make lash application a little easier. The first one I will say is, especially when you're starting out and you're not used to lashes, do not, and I repeat so strongly, do not start with heavy lashes. Don't go out there and buy the Lily lashes or the Huda Beauty lashes. You really want to start with something much lighter and a much thinner band. A great example of these are going to be almost all of them from Ardell, especially the Dummy Wispies and especially the little half lashes if you really want to start with something light. The first thing I hear from so many of my clients that don't usually wear lashes is, oh my gosh, they feel like different. They feel so weird or they feel heavy. And wearing lashes is really foreign to the human body. It's not something that's really normal. So when you first start doing it, it is going to feel slightly uncomfortable, and the way to ease that is really to start with a lighter lash. Those are usually going to be easier to apply too because they're very flexible, so they contour to the eye better. It also helps too if you grab each side of the lash and you sort of fold it like this and you kind of wiggle it around a little bit. That's going to help make it softer. It's going to make the band more flexible, and again, it's going to make it so much easier for you to just kind of pop that on. The next thing I wanted to mention is find a lash tool that you're comfortable with. They help out so much. When I first started doing makeup, I used to apply lashes with my hands just because I thought it would be easier, and if you have practiced a lot, I mean, it could be a breeze. However, especially with the coronavirus, I only wear lashes about once, maybe twice a week. So to make it easier for me, I do have this amazing Dame Boss lash applicator. It has made just such a difference. If you don't have a lash applicator, you can also use a pair of tweezers, but it's basically going to be like an extension of your hands that you can grab the lashes with. Also, when you're done applying them, make sure to squeeze your lashes and the falsies together. And then the last thing I do want to mention for lashes is that products make a difference. The glue really makes a difference. My favorite glue that I don't think I'll ever use anything else is the Sassi eyelash glue. I do have the dark one and then the clear one, and these are my favorite. Now this one I did buy from the makeup show, however they do have it on Amazon. They have both of these on Amazon and I will link that down below. I do have it in my Amazon shop if you guys want to check it out, but every once in a while I've seen them at like the privately owned beauty supply stores, so if you want to check there too. It's just not something that I've really seen at like Walmart or anything. And then this one's kind of big, so I do have it in a smaller bottle to kind of match this one just to make it easier to use because this is enormous. I also really like it because when you are applying the lash glue on the lashes, you have to wait a few seconds for it to get tacky. That has been, I think, my biggest challenge with a lot of other lash glues, is that like perfect window, because when I think it's dry enough to apply, it's too dry. And then if I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do it now, you know, then it's too wet. So I feel like with these, it's just perfect every single time. I usually will wait about 15 to 20 seconds and then I go ahead and apply the first one. Okay, another one was liner application. Now, as you guys know, liner is my favorite thing in the world. It's probably the one makeup product that I could never go without. A few years ago, I did put up a video that was on how to apply liquid liner, and honestly, I still do it about the same. So I am gonna link that down below if you'd like to check it out, but I do want to give you guys some tips. First things first, I almost always use liquid liner. I will very, very rarely use anything other than a liquid liner for a cat eye. Reason being is I feel like it's so much easier to use. I know that because it is so liquidy, you almost feel like you're leaving yourself open to make more mistakes, but actually, if you really get the motion down, it is just a little flick of the wrist. The other reason I love liquid liner is that I am getting older and my eyelids just aren't as tight as they used to be. And so if I go ahead and use like a gel liner or a pencil liner or something, it just drags on my eyes and it doesn't come out smooth. It comes out really splotchy. I really have to hold the skin back and like apply it, and I ain't got time for that. The second thing with liquid liner is that I do prefer a brush tip. I do not really like the felt tip, honestly, guys. There have been a couple that I've liked and I've used, but I just feel like it does make it a little bit harder sometimes to get a very sharp line. I feel like it will work amazing in the beginning, but then after like 15 to 20 uses, the felt tip just kind of gets a little raggedy looking. Whereas with the brush tip, it basically will always stay clean and crisp. My favorite all-time liquid liner is the matte liquid liner from NYX. Now, if you are like me, that I have very shaky hands, the other thing I recommend is getting yourself a little powder puff. Now, what this is gonna do, you put your pinky in it and boom, no more shaky hands. You kind of hold it like this, like a little, I don't know if you can see that, like a little claw, and then you rest that on your cheek so that way you don't have to worry about ruining your makeup. And then you just go ahead, take your time, you can be very steady, and you can just apply your liner. And the only time I don't use this is if I'm applying my liner before my face makeup, then I don't mind just putting my hand on my face. The other thing that I will mention about liner is you do really want to play around and try to find something that's flattering for your eye shape. Even though I do have very soft lids, my eyes are actually really big, so I can get away with the bigger liner. If you do have smaller eyes though, that doesn't always look as good, so you gotta kind of practice and just kind of see what you prefer. And if you are pretty new to liner, I always say start with just a little bit and a thinner line. Don't go all full Amy Winehouse, because 9 times out of 10 that's not gonna look good. If you don't feel comfortable with the liquid liner and you just don't feel like you'll really be able to achieve a smooth line, my other favorite thing to do is to get a really nice creamy pencil liner and just hold your eye taut, draw a pretty thin line across your lash line, and then using a small angled brush, and then you can just kind of drag it out at the end to create a little bit of a flick if you'd like. Okay, the next big concern was concealer either being dry or cakey and creasing. Now this one is sort of touchy, and the reason I say that is because almost every single concealer is going to crease, guys. But there's a photo that I love of Ariana Grande that I believe it was her own makeup artist that posted, and it was a close-up of her makeup and it showed the under eye creasing of concealer, and they were just explaining that creasing is a very normal thing in makeup. Unfortunately, if you are wearing heavier makeup, you should expect it to crease even a little. And that is where you can have a say, whether it creases a little bit or if it does crease a lot. And here are the things that you can do for that. First of all, always do your skincare before makeup. Even if you don't care about your skin, you just care about how your makeup looks, if you want it to look good, do your skincare. It will make a world of difference. Number 2, for cakey foundation, apply as little as you can to get the coverage that you want and really genuinely take the time to blend it out. Now, we're all guilty of it, myself included. I have a bunch of tutorials out where I did it the upside down triangle of light. The issue with that is that you are 9 times out of 10 using way too much concealer and you don't need that much. much. So instead of doing that, you just want to apply a dot of concealer on the inner corner, the outer corner, and the corner of the nose. That way you are still forming a triangle, but it is not this thick layer of concealer. And if you are using a good concealer with good coverage, such as the Girl Pro Conceal, that is like the cheapest, bombest concealer ever. The Tarte Shape Tape is another fantastic one. Also the MAC, I believe it's called Pro Conceal? Prolongwear. I think it's Prolongwear. I used to have it. I ran out. When you set your concealer, do not set the entire area. I stopped baking for a long time because I just never really felt like it was necessary. I was just using very light amount of powder, and although I do still like that, and I like that in the winter months, here in Florida where it's hot for the majority of the year, it really isn't enough and my makeup will crease. So what I do now is I do bake, but instead of baking that entire area, I literally just bake along my nose and then about a finger width under my eye. This area right here, no setting powder. There really isn't a reason to apply it because you're not wearing that very heavy concealer anymore. And it's gonna make your blush and highlight look so much better and your makeup in general look so much more natural. And before you apply the powder, always just double check that your concealer is blended out. And then lastly, use a good setting spray and apply it generously. And then try not to move while that is drying. The moisture from the setting spray is going to meet the skincare underneath. It's essentially reaching through the powders right to your skincare, and it's going and it's merging all of that together. So instead of looking like a layer of makeup or a layer of powder, it is now going to look very skin-like. And then when you're touching up your skin throughout the day, instead of applying more powder, instead use oil absorbing sheets or tissue paper. Oh, we're on a roll today. Although I think this video is going to be long, guys. I'm sorry. I have two more and they should be a little bit faster to explain. The next one is making the eye makeup look identical on both sides. Not all of us have identical eyes and eyelids on both sides, but the way that you can work on getting them very similar is practice and attention to detail. When you apply eyeshadow, try to always apply the same amount that you did on one side on the other side. Put your brush in the exact same spot and blend it in the exact same spot on the other side. And if you really pay attention to that detail and you really take your time and you really practice, you will see that it should be matching. When you apply your metallic shade, how far out are you going? Are you blending it properly on both sides? How high up are you going with that brush? The next thing I will say about it is if you do have eyes that are more different, either one is a little bit lower than the other one, you have to keep in mind that it's not gonna look the same and you have to be okay with that. And the only thing that you can really do to maybe fix that is kind of like an illusion where maybe on the side that's lower, you apply the product a little bit higher so that it does kind of lift the eye and make that one look similar to the other side. I really hope that makes sense. And that if you are working on very intricate work, you guys have seen sometimes when I do like flowers or skull makeup, it is very hard to get those very intricate designs the same on both sides. So at that point, give up. You're never gonna get it exactly the same when there's so much detail like that. You just have to get it as close as you can and realize that no one is really gonna notice that, you know, 1/4 inch liner is a little bit higher than the one over here. When there's a bunch of stuff going on and you're doing a cosplay or a really big design like that, you really just have to go a little bit easier on yourself. Another one. The last one is feather and laminated brows. Again, I did semi-recently come out with a video for this and I'll link that down below as well. I want to be like one of those cool people that's like, click here and a button shows up. I don't know how to do that yet. Maybe by this video I'll know. You guys will see. But for that, I will say everything is about the products. Because you can be very skilled, but if you are not using the right products or the right tools, it will not come out how you want. First of all, to get them really fluffy and feathery, you need something to really prime them. Right now I'm using a wax from Makeup Revolution. You can use soap. I've seen people use hair gel, which actually I kind of want to try that. But essentially you want to prime your brows and get them as big and as fluffy as you can. The second thing that's really going to matter is the brush that you use. My absolute favorite one is the Anastasia Beverly Hills number 12 brush. This brush, you can get such fine lines. And my brow brushes always have to have a spoolie on the end. If it does not have a spoolie, I don't want it. And then I have to say a pretty close alternative to this one is the Morphe M158. They're very similar and you can get thin lines with this one as well. For whatever reason, I do find it easier to use the Anastasia one, but you can use whichever one of those. I do find that this works best when you are using some type of pomade. My favorite is the Anastasia one, but actually the Morphe brow pomade is really good as well. So you take some of the pomade, you put it on the lid, and here's why. You want a flat surface that you can rub your brush and that pomade and get it as thin as possible. And that is how you're gonna create those very lifelike, very nice and thin false brow hairs. Alright guys, and that is basically it. If you guys do ever have any more questions about makeup or beauty tips or just anything that you really want to know about, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I really do read all those and I try to answer them as fast as I can. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends if you really liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!